Good morning, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Wonderful things happening. We're battling on. Things are getting brighter and things are getting better across the world. I believe that's really the case. And with us, my friends, we are moving ahead. I think we have 800 subscribers. Wonderful. That's great. We'll keep it up. And also a number of donations, likes, comments. Keep them coming, my friend. This is the only way I can tell what you guys want me to talk about. I have about 38 subjects here, and you guys are doing a great job just kind of giving me content and kind of focusing on this. I do want to shout out to my friend SC100 PITIE. They had shut down his channel, I think, after he had like 15,000 subscribers, and I'm sorry about that, my friend. I think you battled back and now I have another one, so please go ahead and kind of support my friend over there in doing the things that we're doing to kind of keep this moving. So sorry about that, SC, but keep going, and you're going to battle on. So I appreciate all the encouraging words you give me and inspiration to keep doing this. So thank you. Also, shout outs, Charles Curry, thank you, my friend. Bahar Sheik, Mike Nungan, Mike, cold showers are very important. I like that very much. Fresh Starts, got a bunch of different ones that we'll talk about a little bit today. Not today, but in the future. HVD, the fourth, so I'm sorry about that. We're going to talk about high vibration at some point. Giovanni, RF98, BF Chang, SF, Lucky T, Jawad Khan, thank you. Flex Williams, living in the present moment. I like that. We'll talk about that. Once again, SC100 PITIE, thank you. And Alan Tanner talking about the teacher will always appear at some point, and that's great, and I love that too. The Rising King, how to avoid being stagnant, and we'll talk about that coming up pretty soon, probably tomorrow actually. So thank you for that one. Behind Alchemy, I love that one. Adam Lopez, good question, good comment. Thank you. He's at 38 days, and he's talking about how my voice has changed, and Glow, how long does it have to wait to get to that point? And I'll have to go back. I haven't really even compared myself to notice that. But thank you for noticing that. And I'm also at 890 days today, so we got about 10 days to 900, and that's wonderful. So Tactile Taylor, thank you for a subscription. Kind of move ahead. So I got two of them today that we're going to talk about as we do this. They're both kind of talking about the same type of idea. One is from Eduardo, and we're talking about the drug of making love, and then the second one is what happens when you make love under semen retention. That's from the Grim Reaper. So we're going to talk about that a little bit on both of these things. So, all right, my friends. So when we talk about this idea, and we're talking about the focus on having intercourse. Now, there's a number of things here that we've talked about before. So let's kind of delve into this a little bit as we kind of focus on this. So obviously we talk about the importance of keeping your energy. Okay, so as you keep your energy, your nutrients, everything becomes stronger. We've talked about that on all our videos, right? All our channel, the whole channel is kind of dedicated to the fact that you want to become a masculine male, strong male, someone who has a lot of energy, motivation, leadership, a person who is someone to be admired, someone who is going to lead our country into a better type of situation, good values, in my main biblical type values, spiritual type values, following God, those type of things. Now, what you choose to do and what you believe really obviously is your choice, and I'm not in a position to judge. I just kind of give you my opinion on things. But once again, all people are important here to God. So this is an important thing to recognize, that we all have to strive. And so no matter who we're talking to or with, that's a person who can be part of our 1%. So as all of you guys are subscribing and commenting and all that, I greatly appreciate every one of you, because you are part of the 1%. And I don't really ever look at color. I don't look at skin color, religion. That means nothing to me. What means to me is that the fact that the energy behind the person is what matters. And right now we're focusing on keeping that energy. So as we keep that energy, it's also important to recognize, okay, we have to make that self-controlled judgment of when we're going to release that energy, okay? And so when we release that energy, that's the key question. How do I handle my energy? When do I control it? When do I decide I'm going to let it go? And those are the key points. So what Grim Reaper's talking about, and so is Eduardo, these are things that can be good and again can be bad. So as we talk about releasing energy, obviously you have the power, superpower, to be able to make a life. The seed that you give to a young lady could grow into a child. And if it does not, then it's something in the young lady, and women tend to be buoyed up, or they take that energy and they become stronger themselves. So what you're doing is you're giving, and men are givers in a large sense, in protection and in providing and all that. They're very much givers. Though it may not appear like that all the time, they're very much givers. And so here they're giving the seed to the young lady. Now, in this case, if it doesn't have a child, you're still losing that energy. But in situations, and this is just my interpretation, so like I said, all this is just me talking more than anything else. When you're losing energy, there's a difference between losing energy with a purpose and not losing energy. Now, if you're losing energy to have a child, that's a whole different type of thing to me. I think God understands those things, and He will give you a child at a particular moment, like He did with me, in my family. I think you have to really kind of look at your relationship with your God and be able to kind of talk with Him and kind of work through all of that. But as far as the energy goes, God has given you energy to do that. So if it does not, work, a few times, that happens. Those things happen. I don't think that's something to be held against you. You're releasing all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's a different type of situation. And to me, that's the reason why you save your energy, is to be able to have, to have children at that moment. Now, the self-control that you have to have is unbelievable. Now, there's a couple things here. One is that there are people that you can actually go ahead and not release even though you're having intercourse, and that happens as well. And so all these things kind of play into the fact that, as Grim Reaper's talking about, you can make love with someone and not release, on your behalf of it. You can also make love and release and have a child. And so a few of those situations, right, as far as releasing goes, is not bad. Now, as far as moral values go, I believe, obviously you have one wife and you don't have affairs, you don't have any of that kind of stuff that the God, adultery and those type of things you prevent against. And so I always believe in having one person and having a wife to do that with, and then you kind of go from there. But I think depending on your biblical teachings and how you look at things, you may choose to look at things differently. And I've known different religions and people that do that. So that's a little different type of situation as well. But here again, guys, what you're doing, and one of the purposes I think we have as men, is to help procreate. And I think it's important to use that for those periods of time. Now, if we're talking about, and I hope I answered it, Grim Reaper and Eduardo, I think what Eduardo's talking about then is the negative side of it, or the downside of things. And yes, by doing this, and especially with multiple partners and images and pictures and all that kind of stuff, there is a great possibility of getting caught into a cage. And the cage I'm talking about is really the cage you're focusing on of looks, and to kind of look at a person's looks without actually establishing any sort of relationship or any potential type of marriage. This is why over the years, people have done different things, because they realize the nature of people. They realize the fact that, that people sometimes, they get caught up with the physical, and they don't really know the mistake they're making by, marrying someone or getting together with somebody who is just not right for them. This is why you used to have arranged marriages in a lot of countries. You still do, and I think in a few. And then you also have the idea of why people, in certain cultures cover themselves. And I think that that's been blown way out of proportion, because I think certainly, there's a lot of reasons why that people did that. It's not just because demeaning the people or anything like that. It's really, there's a reason that people don't do that. Our culture tends to be the other way around, and this is why we run into so many problems with moral values, and people just deciding they can be so liberated, and that they can also go ahead and have intercourse, make love to anybody they want to make love to, and those type of things, and they believe there's no repercussions. But as Jordan Peterson and a lot of people always talk about, there's always repercussions to anything you're doing. It's not something that you just kind of do and say, okay, this is not going to hurt me, or this is not going to come back and bother me in the long run. But it will. It will, from your soul aspect, DNA, all those different types of things will come back to bite you. And I have talked to so many men and women in their 30s, and they just get really disenchanted or bitter or upset about the dating situation or the world out there. But part of it is their own fault. They put themselves in a position where they believed all of this and they did not believe God. And I think that's a big part of our problem. I mean, I see this kind of teaching, and I've been in education for years. I've seen this at the college level and the high school level, grammar school level, teaching all these doctrines that just keep people moving away from God and not following God's rules. And when you follow God's laws, you're not going to get yourself into a lot of these situations, because you're following His commandments, you're following the rules that He's put down, and there's reasons for those rules, and those have been the test of time over time. And so you have to kind of think to yourself, okay, is this something that I want to do and lose energy because of it, and focus on looking and saying, okay, what is it do I really want to do? What is my purpose here with this person? Is my purpose to go ahead and have and make love and be done with it, and that's it, and maybe have a relationship, maybe not, but never have any sort of commitment level? Well, that's up to you. And I know a lot of people now, they also get married and they're afraid of getting married. And a lot of men are, because they know the legal system is not very kind to men in marriage, and so they avoid that as well. And we'll talk about this a little bit, because I know we had Gigi and someone else, I think, Giovanni, had comments about marriage and no matter how old you are. And we had a couple of viewers that are 60 years old wanting to get married, and I think certainly God blesses that. But I also think that you have to make that commitment, and God blesses that commitment. And I think that's really important. I'm very old-fashioned, so to me, I don't believe in a lot of the stuff that we see out there going on, but I think it's very destructive and can be destructive. And once again, if you're not following God's rules and laws, you're going to run yourself in situations where temptation is very great. And so things becoming more meaningless as time goes on if you don't look at that. So this is why people then get caught up in a lot of deviant behaviors, because they don't have those rules. And I believe that's the problem. And this is something that I think purposely is put together by the evil one, who's using people to become so liberal to the point where they have no belief in God. Why? And see, the problem with it is that if you believe in God, if you believe in my case, Lord Jesus Christ, you have to restrict yourself. You have to follow some laws and rules, and have a fear. Now, I don't want a fear of God in a negative sense. It is a negative sense in some ways, but it's a fear of God, that God is not going to help you, or not help you, but God is going to punish you in some way, or God is going to look down upon you if you're committing all these sins and not really repenting and not trying to become better. Now, none of us are perfect, and of course, I think God realizes that. But I think God also realizes the fact that that you look at life and realize that you cannot have extreme cases and continue to just go on and on committing sins all the time. And making love to many different women, especially if you're married or things or those type of things, to me is not the way to go. And I think that's what hurts. Now, once again, if we're talking about, one person, and you're talking about a situation that you feel is, a committed type of situation, you can go ahead and focus on that and say, okay, what am I going to really do in this type of situation? You're going to make that choice. But again, remember two things. One thing is that the moral value of things always comes back to bite you one way or the other. It's like a mirror, I believe, in life. What you put into the mirror, you get back. And so always be aware of that type of situation. And of course, the bigger thing to me is your energy. If you're losing energy, just kind of throwing it away, and there's no purpose behind it, then you're really kind of defeating yourself. And I did that for years, so I know that. You're kind of making life a lot harder and a lot more difficult for you and people around you. And that's why we say that what you have to do is be able to have self-control and be able to make wise decisions and get into the Book of God, read the Book of God, make decisions on, well, should I lose my energy here? Is this a situation where, I have a committed person and we're going to go ahead and have this situation. We're gonna kind of try to have a child. That's a whole different situation. And I think this is why Paul and I talk about this when it comes to self-control. We've talked about this before. I think marriage was really kind of developed, and the idea of that is to have one person union with another person because of a matter of self-control and lusting and trying to get all kinds of different type of women. And the problem with that is that it creates a lot of problems, and there is no relationship between that person and someone else. If you really have all these other kind of partners, you're not really kind of focusing on developing a relationship with the one person. And I think that's kind of the key to it. Plus, you don't really have the energy to go around and just making love to everybody. That defeats the purpose, and it makes you actually weaker than stronger. And as a result of that, you become a lot less attractive as well. And so as we talk about coming up on the next few types of lessons, Key Yuche talks about business success, other types of success. Those type of things all come because you're at full strength. You have that battery, you have that energy that's being charged every day with more of your seed that's starting to grow, and you're transmuting it every day. And those things continue to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And because of that, you become more successful. Opportunity hits you a lot more. Opportunities there as you go along, and those things just become a lot more apparent in your life, as they have with me after 890 days. So those type of things are things that you notice. So again, a great quote. I appreciate the great comment, a very insightful question from the Grim Reaper, and a very good insightful type of comment from Eduardo. The key really is to not get fooled by what people look like, and really kind of make a conscious effort to say, if I'm going to make love to somebody, what is my purpose here? Is my purpose a short-term satisfaction? And this is what people do. It's not really accomplishing anything. And I know I sound a little, I guess, cold when I say this, but I don't mean it that way. What I mean is that you need to really have a focus on your goals. And I could say this now at 61 because I had many years of not doing this. So I understand this a lot more than you may think, guys, because I went through a lot of this stuff, and I've been back and forth, and I didn't believe half the stuff, and I didn't believe the stuff that I'm talking about now, and all this other kind of stuff. But the thing is that this is very real. And to my mind, I have seen such a huge difference now that I'll never go back to the way it was. Never. I think that, I may end up relapsing at some point, but never change the lifestyle that I have, because this is so wonderful, so joyful for me. And I have great relationships with young ladies, women, friends, my wife, everybody is so much different now. And I'm achieving goals a lot more.